The galaxy had watched humans for many years, but no one truly understood what made them different. Some alien races called them dangerous, others called them unpredictable, but most believed humans were simply weak creatures with loud emotions and short lives. For a long time, no one thought they could ever become a threat. That belief stayed strong until the day the unexpected war began. The conflict did not start with armies. It did not start with weapons. It started with a single young girl named Aria. She lived on a quiet research station at the edge of human territory, far from battles and politics. She was not a soldier, not a spy, not a leader. She was an assistant biologist who studied alien plants and how they reacted to human environments. She loved peaceful life, simple routines, and discovering small secrets of science. But fate had a different plan. One that would change not only her life, but the future of the entire galaxy. On a calm morning, Aria walked through the station halls carrying a small data pad with her research notes. She had no idea she was being watched from the shadows by alien drones, small metal creatures shaped like floating knives. They hid inside the vents, moving silently with cold precision. Their masters, a distant and powerful alien empire known as the Varix Dominion, had already decided something. They believed humans were beginning to grow stronger, too strong for comfort. They believed humanity must be tested and maybe controlled. So they chose Aria's station as the first target. Aria reached the main laboratory and smiled at her friend, Dr. Loran, who was preparing samples. He waved at her without looking up from his work. Everything felt normal for one last moment. Then the lights flickered. The air hummed. A deep metallic sound echoed through the station, and suddenly gravity itself trembled as if the universe was inhaling sharply. Aria grabbed a handrail. Dr. Loran looked around in confusion. Then the ceiling split open. Bright blue beams shot down, lifting several scientists into the air. Aria felt her body rising too, weightless and helpless as panic filled the room. She tried to reach Dr. Loran, but the beam pulled her higher. Alarms screamed. The walls shook. Someone yelled her name, but the sound faded as she rose into a swirling vortex of light. When the light vanished, Aria found herself inside a cold chamber made of dark metal. Strange symbols glowed on the walls. Dozens of aliens watched her from raised seats around the room. Some had pale faces with black eyes. Others had metallic skin and long limbs. None looked kind. All looked curious, like scientists studying an insect. Aria's hands were tied behind her. A thick cable attached to her restraints hung from the ceiling, lifting her slightly off the ground. Her legs trembled as she tried to find balance. She forced herself to breathe slowly. She looked up at the aliens. She tried to speak, but her voice cracked. Why am I here?" the audience murmured in their strange languages. Then a voice echoed through the chamber, deep and cold. "You are human. You will show us the truth of your species." A tall alien with silver armor stepped forward. His face was long, smooth, and empty of emotion. His eyes glowed like dying stars. He studied Aria with a calmness that felt more terrifying than anger. "We have heard claims," he said. "Humans claim strength. Humans claim resilience. Some say humans cannot be broken. This is interesting. Today we will learn if this is true." Aria felt a chill run down her spine. "I'm not special," she whispered. "I'm just a scientist." The alien tilted his head. "Then humanity is weaker than we expected." A murmur spread through the audience. Aria's heart thumped loudly, and she tried to step back, but the cable held her in place. She looked around, searching for anything, any tool, any opening, any hope. But the room was built to crush hope. A group of aliens activated a device beneath her. The air crackled with electricity. A glowing circle formed on the floor. Aria felt heat rise through her feet and into her body. Pain shot through her nerves like fire. She cried out, unable to stop herself. The audience leaned forward, fascinated. She tried to stay strong. She tried to remember her family, her friends, her peaceful station. But the pain kept growing, wave after wave, until she felt her thoughts slipping. She gasped for air. Tears ran down her face. The chamber blurred. She heard the alien leader speaking again, but the words sounded distant. Humans break easily. This is disappointing. Arya wanted to scream that he was wrong. She wanted to show she was stronger, but her body failed her. The final burst of energy hit her chest, and she felt everything fade. Her vision turned white. Her heartbeat slowed. Then it stopped. The cable lowered her lifeless body onto the platform. The aliens watched in silence. Some took notes. Others simply stared with cold curiosity. The leader sighed. Humans are fragile. End the experiment. But the experiment was not over. 37 minutes passed. The chamber lights dimmed. The audience prepared to leave. Then something unusual happened. The air around Arya's body shimmered. A soft pulse came from her chest, like the echo of a heartbeat returning from far away. Her skin glowed faintly. The platform vibrated. A strange force spread across the room, so subtle at first that no one noticed. Arya's fingers twitched. Her eyes opened. She inhaled sharply, as if returning from the bottom of an ocean. The glow around her faded, but something inside her had changed. She felt stronger, colder, more aware. She slowly lifted her head and looked at the aliens. Her eyes did not look human anymore. The audience froze. Arya stood, and the galaxy's greatest mistake began in that moment. Arya stood on the platform with slow, steady breaths, like someone waking from a deep dream that was not entirely human anymore. The aliens inside the great chamber stared in silence. Many of them had seen wars, planets fall, and species go extinct, yet none of them had ever seen a dead human rise again. Her hair hung over her face, damp from the energy that had passed through her body. The cable that once held her now swayed gently, as if afraid to touch her again. Arya looked around without fear or confusion. Her eyes glowed with a faint silver light that had not been there before. Something awakened inside her, something even she did not understand. The Variks leader stepped forward slowly. His metallic armor clicked softly as he moved, but for the first time his steps did not sound confident. "Human," he said. "Explain this." Arya tilted her head slightly as if testing how her neck moved. She blinked once. Her mind felt different, clearer, sharper. She remembered the pain they gave her. She remembered dying. She remembered the cold emptiness that followed. And she remembered something else. Something warm, powerful, like a spark that had restarted her body from the inside. "I don't know," she said quietly. Her voice was calm, but something in it made the aliens step back. "But I'm not the same." A wave of murmurs echoed around the chamber. Some aliens spoke nervously. Others whispered warnings. A few began to record everything, realizing this moment might change their understanding of humans forever. Arya touched her chest where the final energy blast had struck her. There should have been burned skin, a wound, or at least a scar. But there was nothing. Her skin was whole, stronger, warmer. She lifted her hand again and felt energy pulsing under her skin like a second heartbeat. She did not feel fear. Instead, she felt something like purpose. The leader raised a hand. "Restrain her again," he ordered. "We must study this." A group of armored guards stepped forward, each holding long metal staffs that crackled with electricity. But Arya did not wait. Without thinking, she stepped off the platform. Her feet landed quietly, almost gracefully, as if gravity worked differently for her now. The guards surrounded her from all sides. One reached out with the electric staff to pin her down. Aria reacted without knowing how. She caught the staff in her bare hand. Normally, it would burn skin and break muscle. Instead, the energy flowed into her palm and vanished as if swallowed. The guard froze. Aria looked at the staff, then at him, her glowing eyes showing no anger, only understanding. That won't work anymore. She pushed the staff back gently, yet the guard flew several meters through the air and crashed into the wall. The audience gasped. Some stood from their seats in panic. Others began running toward exits. The Variks leader raised his voice again. "Stop her! She is not human anymore!" Aria turned to him slowly. "Maybe I am. Maybe I'm more." A pair of guards charged at her with weapons raised. Aria moved before they even reached her. Her body reacted with impossible speed, like her senses now worked a second ahead of time. She stepped aside, grabbed one guard by the arm, and spun him into the second one. Both fell to the ground with a metallic crash. The chamber dissolved into chaos. Aliens shouted and scrambled for safety. Alarms blared. Red lights flashed across the walls. The leaders of several species watching from the upper seats were now terrified. The experiment they thought would prove humans were weak had awakened something they could not control. Aria did not attack anyone else. She did not want blood. She only wanted to understand what she had become and to escape. She looked at the walls. Each one was built with advanced Variks technology, meant to hold even powerful alien warriors. But her instincts whispered something new. She felt energy running inside the walls like veins. She placed her hand against the metal. A pulse traveled from her hand into the structure. The lights flickered. A deep humming noise filled the chamber. Panels began to open. The walls shook as if reacting to her presence. It was like she could speak to their technology without words. The Variks leader shouted orders. "Shut down all systems. Do not let her interfere with the ship." But it was too late. The energy inside the walls bent toward her, responding like it recognized her. Glowing lines of blue light spread outward from her palm. The chamber's systems flickered in confusion, unsure whether she was an enemy or a new authority. Aria stepped away from the wall and looked up at the giant circular structure above, the device that had lifted her, tortured her, and killed her, the same device that had drawn cosmic power into the room. The same device that might have revived her in the first place. She felt drawn to it. The machine hummed louder, brighter, as if calling back to her. The aliens shouted in fear. Some fled entirely. Even the leader took several steps back, his confident expression replaced by something close to horror. "You are not supposed to exist," he said. Aria raised her eyes to meet his. "Maybe you shouldn't have killed me." The circular machine above spun faster. Sparks of cosmic light drifted down like glowing dust. The energy inside it swirled in a spiral, as if reacting to Aria's heartbeat. She felt a strange connection, as if the machine had awakened something in her, and now she could awaken something in it. The leader shouted again, "Seal the chamber! Seal it now!" Metal doors began to slide down around the room. Aria saw them closing and understood she had only seconds. She bent her knees and jumped, higher than any human could. Her body shot upward, lifted partly by force and partly by the machine's energy answering her call. She grabbed one of the hanging cables and pulled herself up as the machine's light grew brighter. The air crackled. A surge of power wrapped around her like a storm made of stars. The last thing the alien saw before the chamber sealed was Aria rising into the glowing vortex, her eyes shining like silver fire, her body alive with power that no human should possess. What she became next was something the galaxy had never seen before. The sealed chamber shook as Aria disappeared into the swirling light above. The aliens outside the doors waited with fear, unsure if she was alive, transformed, or something far worse. They whispered that the machine had chosen her. Others whispered that she had chosen the machine. Inside the glowing vortex, Arya felt suspended between realities. She could not tell if she was floating, falling, or rising. Light wrapped around her like warm water. She felt the energy flow through her bones, her blood, her thoughts. She did not understand the language of the machine, but she understood its intention. It was old, far older than the Variks themselves. It was a remnant of an ancient technology meant to test the limits of living beings. And somehow, she had passed a test she didn't know she was taking. Arya reached out in the bright haze. Her fingers brushed symbols that floated like stars. When she touched them, she felt memories that were not hers, echoes of beings who had touched this machine before. She sensed lives, deaths, transformations, failures. Many had broken. A few had risen, but none had risen like she had. She wondered why she survived. Why her? Why a simple scientist? A soft voice whispered in her mind, distant and gentle. "Because you are human." She opened her eyes. The light faded slowly, and she found herself standing on a new platform above the chamber, a hidden level that the aliens below had never seen. It was silent and empty, filled with circular metal panels and glowing blue rings on the floor. She stepped forward, feeling the floor vibrate faintly under her feet. She no longer felt weak or afraid. She felt centered, as if the machine had aligned something inside her. Below, alarms still echoed. She could hear the Varik soldiers trying to break into the chamber, trying to regain control. But the machine had cut their access. Arya could hear electricity humming through the walls, choosing her path forward. Far across the room, a set of doors slid open on their own. Arya walked toward them. As she moved, she felt as if her senses expanded. She could hear footsteps far below, whispers behind walls, even the low hum of the ship's engines. She felt her heartbeat steady, syncing with the rhythm of the machine. The doors led to a long hallway filled with screens. When she came close, the screens lit up, showing images of Earth, cities, forests, oceans, human faces. Arya stopped, breath catching softly. The screens were watching her reactions, measuring her emotions. One screen showed her home station, now empty and cold. Another showed her mother smiling in an old photograph. Arya reached out but touched only the glass. She felt a sharp ache inside, a reminder that she had been taken from her life without warning. But the ache did not weaken her. It anchored her. She walked past the screens, feeling her determination strengthen. When she reached the end of the hall, she found a round elevator-like chamber. As soon as she stepped inside, the doors closed and the floor lifted her gently. The chamber rose through the ship, moving through levels at incredible speed, until it stopped with a soft chime. When the doors opened, Arya stepped out into a gigantic control center. Tall windows showed a wide view of space, stars, nebulae, and the cold emptiness stretching forever. But she was not alone. Dozens of Variks officers turned sharply when she entered. Their eyes widened in shock. Some stepped back. Others reached for weapons. Arya stood still, but her glowing eyes made them hesitate. One officer whispered, "She should be dead." Another said, "She is not human anymore." A commander stepped forward, taller and more heavily armored than the rest. His voice was firm. "You do not belong here. Stand down, human." Arya looked at him calmly. "I want answers. Why did you take me? Why did you attack my station? And why did you kill me?" "You were a test," the commander said. "The Dominion must know if humans are a threat." Arya's jaw tightened. "You killed innocent people." "War requires sacrifice," he replied without emotion. Arya felt something shift in her chest. Not anger, something steadier, something powerful and sharp. She stepped forward, and the officers raised their weapons. The commander lifted a hand, stopping them, He wanted to see what she would do. Arya spoke softly. "I didn't choose to be part of your test, but I choose what happens next." The commander sneered. "You are alone. You cannot—" His words cut off when the lights in the room flickered. The screens behind him distorted. The ship trembled. Every officer looked around in confusion. Arya knew why. She could feel the machine inside her, or perhaps she was inside it now. She reached a hand toward one of the consoles. "Stop!" the commander shouted, but it was too late. The console activated at her touch. Information flowed through the screens, maps of the ship, power routes, communication lines, weapon controls. Arya saw everything at once, as if her mind could now process data faster than the systems themselves. She whispered, "I can control it." The Variks officers panicked. Several rushed toward her. Arya turned her head slightly, and a wave of energy surged from the console. The metal plates on the floor shifted, raising barriers that blocked the soldiers. Arya stepped back from the console, breathing slowly. She did not want to kill them. She did not want a war. She wanted freedom, her own, and maybe humanity's. The commander raised his weapon. "You are too dangerous." Arya looked into his cold eyes. "You made me this way." She lifted her hand slightly, not in anger but in control. The lights brightened. The ship's systems responded instantly. The commander's weapon flickered and powered down, unable to function. He stared at her in disbelief. Arya turned and walked toward the central window. Stars stretched endlessly before her. Somewhere out there was Earth, her people, her home. She touched the glass softly. "I'm going back," she said. Behind her, the officers whispered in fear. The Variks' dominion had tried to break a human. Instead, they had awakened something they did not understand. And now Arya was leaving their ship with power they could no longer contain. Arya stood at the giant window, watching the stars stretch across the darkness. She could feel the ship's engines vibrating through the floor, like a deep heartbeat running under metal. The Variks officers kept their distance now, afraid to move too quickly or breathe too loudly. They no longer saw her as a prisoner. They saw her as something unpredictable, something they did not know how to fight. Arya knew she could not escape the ship without a plan. Even with her new abilities, she needed to understand what the machine had done to her. She turned back toward the command consoles. Screens flickered with streams of alien text, but she understood them as if she had learned the language years ago. Her mind processed the symbols easily, reading instruction lines, power levels, and navigation paths. She whispered, "Show me access to communication systems." The screens shifted immediately, displaying a network of glowing pathways. Her heart beat faster when she saw a channel that reached far across space, toward human territory. She touched the console, and a soft pulse of light spread from her fingers. A voice crackled through the speakers, broken but familiar. "This is Earth Defense. Identify yourself." Arya's breath caught. She hadn't heard a human voice since her capture. For a moment, she felt small again, like the scientist she was before everything changed. "This is Arya Kalin," she said. "I was taken by the Variks. I'm alive. I'm on their ship." The transmission went quiet. Then another voice answered, stronger and direct. "Arya, is this really you? We received reports that your station was destroyed." "It was," she said. "They captured me. They killed me. But—" She hesitated. How could she explain what happened? Would humans trust her? Would they be afraid? She continued softly, "I came back. I don't know how. But I can control their systems. I can help." Before Earth could reply, a loud alarm echoed through the command center. Arya turned sharply. Variks soldiers entered the room, armored in dark plating and carrying heavy weapons. Their faces were stern, trained, and ready for battle. The commander stepped behind them, pointing at Arya. "Seize her now. She must not contact her people." Arya backed away from the console as the soldiers approached. She felt the ship's energy like a storm under her skin, waiting for her command. She looked at the soldiers' weapons. They hummed with deadly power, and yet she felt no fear. One soldier fired. A bolt of blue energy shot toward Arya. She raised her hand instinctively. The bolt hit her palm and vanished like a drop of water on hot stone. The room fell silent as every alien stared in disbelief. Arya lowered her hand. "Please stop, I don't want to fight you." Another soldier refused to listen. He rushed forward, swinging his blade. Arya stepped aside with unnatural speed. Her hand brushed his arm, and he flew backward as if hit by an invisible force. His armor bent when he hit the wall. The other soldiers hesitated now, unsure if they should continue. Arya looked at them with calm eyes. "You don't have to do this. I just want to leave." The commander stepped forward with anger building in his voice. "You cannot leave. If you escape, the humans will rise against us. Your kind will bring war to our empire." "You already brought war to mine," Arya replied softly. The commander's jaw tightened. He raised a control device and pressed a button. Metal plates in the ceiling opened, revealing drones that floated down like silent predators. Their eyes glowed red. These machines were not guards. They were execution units. Arya felt the ship tremble again, but this time it trembled with fear. The drones formed a circle around her, charging their weapons. Arya glanced upward at the humming machines. She felt the energy inside them, the same kind of energy that had once killed her, and now she could command it. She closed her eyes for a moment. The room held its breath. Then she raised both hands slowly. The drones froze mid-air. Their red lights flickered, then turned white. The commander stared, horrified. "Impossible! Those drones only follow Varric's orders." Arya opened her glowing eyes. "Not anymore." With a simple wave of her hand, the drones shifted positions, forming a protective ring around her instead of attacking. The soldiers dropped their weapons in shock, some backing away as if they were looking at a ghost. Arya stepped forward. The drones followed her like silent guardians. She walked toward the exit of the command center. But the commander moved to block her path. "You cannot leave," he said, his voice trembling. "You are a danger to the galaxy." Arya stopped in front of him. "I didn't want any of this. I just wanted my life back." "You are no longer human," he said. "You are something new, something unpredictable." Arya looked down at her hands, the faint silver glow still pulsing on her skin. She didn't fully understand what she had become, but she knew one thing. She did not belong to the Varrics. She didn't belong to fear. She placed her hand on the commander's control panel. The ship's map appeared, massive, complex, spread across many levels. She searched for escape routes, hangars, anything that could help her return home. She finally saw it, a launch bay with small transport pods. She turned to the commander. "I'm leaving your ship. Don't follow me." He clenched his fists. "If you escape, the Dominion will hunt you forever." Arya nodded. "Then they will have to keep up." She walked past him. The drones floated beside her, clearing the path. The officers did not dare stop her. As Arya entered the hallway, the ship's lights brightened, guiding her way. She felt the machine's presence again, like a silent companion. It wanted her to survive. Far behind her, the commander whispered to his officers, "Prepare the fleet. Warn the Dominion. This girl could change everything." Arya reached the elevator and stepped inside. As the doors closed, she whispered to herself, "I will go home. No matter what you try." The elevator descended quickly, carrying her toward the launch bay. The girl they killed had returned. And now she was walking toward freedom, stronger than any human had ever been. Arya descended through the ship in the quiet elevator, watching the numbers on the panel drop toward the lowest levels. The drones that followed her floated in perfect silence, their white lights glowing softly, as if waiting for her next command. She felt the pull of the ship's energy again, like a faint rhythm inside her chest. It guided her, supported her, and made her stronger with every passing moment. When the doors opened, cold air rushed past her. The launch bay was enormous, filled with angular Varick ships and small transport pods lined up like metallic insects. The room was dim, lit by blue navigation lights and the occasional spark from repair machines. There were no guards at first, only the hum of engines resting in standby mode. Arya stepped out cautiously. Something felt wrong. She was halfway across the floor when steel plates slammed shut behind her, blocking the elevator. Red warning lights flashed. A voice echoed through hidden speakers, deep and sharp. "You cannot escape, human." The commander stepped out from behind a large transport ship. This time he was not alone. Rows of soldiers appeared from behind crates and machines, forming a wide circle around Arya. Their armor was thicker. Their weapons were larger, designed for war, not experiments. Arya tightened her jaw. She felt the drones move closer to her, ready to defend, but the commander raised a small device and pressed a button. A high-pitched sound filled the room. The drones' white lights flickered, then dimmed to darkness. They fell to the ground, powerless. "We built them," the commander said. "We know how to shut them down." Arya felt a sting of fear rise in her chest, but she pushed it aside. Fear had nearly killed her once. It would not stop her now. "You think this will stop me?" she asked. "No," the commander replied, "but it will slow you." The soldiers stepped forward. Arya breathed deeply, trying to feel the ship's energy again. It was still there, pulsing faintly, but she was far from the central chamber, far from the machine that awakened her. She needed to focus harder. The soldiers charged. Arya moved faster than any human should. She slid under one soldier's swing, grabbed another by his arm, and used his momentum to flip him over. Two more attacked from both sides. Arya jumped, twisting in mid-air as their blades slashed past her legs. She landed and pushed out with her hands. A wave of invisible force blasted them backward, but more soldiers came. 10, then 15, then 20. The launch bay shook with the sound of heavy boots. Arya's breaths grew heavy. She could fight them, but she couldn't fight an entire army alone. She needed an escape. The commander watched with cold eyes. "Your strength is impressive, but you are trapped." A soldier struck her from behind. Arya stumbled forward, electricity burning across her back. She fell to one knee, feeling the shock fade into a warm pulse as her strange energy absorbed it. She stood again, but slower. The commander walked closer. "You are unique, Arya. That is why we must keep you." Arya's voice was tired but strong. "You killed me, and now you want to keep me?" "You returned," he said. "That makes you valuable." Arya looked up at him, her glowing eyes filled with determination. "I returned so you could not control me." She turned sharply and sprinted toward the nearest transport pod. The soldiers yelled and opened fire. Blue bolts of energy shot across the room. Arya dodged several shots, but one struck her shoulder. Pain burned deep, but she didn't slow down. She reached the pod and pressed her hand against its control panel. For a second, nothing happened. Then the panel lit up, reacting to her presence. The ship recognized her. The hatch opened. She jumped inside, slamming the hatch closed behind her. Shots hit the outer hull. The pod shook. Alarms inside the cockpit activated. Warning of incoming fire. Arya touched the controls, feeling the machine respond to her energy. The engines roared awake. Navigation screens lit up with pathways through space. The commander shouted outside, "Destroy the pod before it launches!" Arya gripped the controls tightly. No, not this time. She pushed her energy into the pod. Lights exploded across the dashboard. The engines powered up faster than their normal limit. The floor vibrated like a living creature preparing to fly. Soldiers aimed heavy cannons at the pod. Arya whispered to the pod system, feeling the strange connection between her energy and its circuits. Go. Now. The pod shot forward at incredible speed. Cannons fired, but the pod was already off the ground. Arya felt the pressure push her back into her seat as the pod blasted through the bay doors, tearing past metal and sparks. Alarms screamed across the Variks ship. The launch bay sealed itself. But it was too late. Arya was already out, flying through open space. She looked back through the rear window. The massive Variks battleship grew smaller as the pod flew away. Dozens of lights activated along its hull. Then more ships appeared around it, dark shapes rising from hidden ports, forming a spreading net. They were preparing to chase her. Arya breathed deeply, focusing on the pod's controls. She felt the machine syncing with her heartbeat again. Her fingers glowed faintly as they touched the panels. "Take me home," she whispered. The navigation screen changed course automatically, marking a path toward human space. Behind her, the commander's voice came through the communication channel, filled with cold warning. "You cannot run, Arya. You are too dangerous to be free." Arya stared into the stars ahead. "Then you should have never let me live." The pod accelerated, faster and faster, until the stars stretched into long white lines. Arya didn't look back again. She was heading home. But the Variks Dominion was already moving, and they would not stop until they captured the girl who came back from death. The pod raced through space like a silver spark, leaving the Variks warship far behind. Arya sat in the pilot seat, her breaths steady, her eyes focused on the stars stretching into thin white lines. She felt the engines humming beneath her, responding to the strange new energy inside her body. The pod was fast, but the Dominion was faster. She knew they would not let her go easily. She checked the scanners. Several red dots appeared behind her, growing brighter with every second. Variks hunters. They were sleek ships built for speed and killing. She swallowed hard but kept her hands on the controls. She had escaped once. She could escape again. The communication system crackled. The commander's voice echoed coldly. "Arya, surrender now! You cannot outrun us!" Arya closed her eyes for a moment, letting the ship's energy calm her. "I'm going home. You cannot stop me." "Then your home will suffer," the commander replied. "Earth will face consequences for protecting you." Arya felt a deep pain in her chest, not from fear, from anger. The Variks had taken her life once. They would not take her world. She shut the communicator off and stared ahead. The pod trembled as it pushed into higher speed. Minutes later, the stars snapped back into normal view. A soft blue glow appeared ahead. Human space. Arya exhaled in relief. But the relief did not last long. The scanners flashed. More Variks ships entered behind her, dozens this time, forming a net that surrounded her pod. She was close to safety, but not close enough. A calm human voice broke through the static. "This is Earth Defense Fleet. Arya, we see you. Hold your course." Arya smiled weakly. "I'm trying." Human ships appeared in front of her, strong, bright vessels with blue shields and sharp wings. They moved into formation, ready to protect her. The Variks ship slowed slightly, surprised by the fast response. A human captain spoke. "Arya, your signal shows abnormal readings. Are you injured?" "I'm alive," she said, "but different." She looked at her glowing hands. "I don't know how to explain it." "You don't need to explain right now," the captain replied. "Just stay behind us." The human fleet raised their shields. The Variks fleet responded by spreading out, surrounding everything. For a moment, both sides stood still, silent in the vast darkness. Then the commander's voice echoed again, this time across open channels, so all humans could hear. "Hand the girl over. She belongs to the Dominion." The human captain answered firmly. She is human. She belongs to us. And what she has become? The commander asked. Do you even know? Arya felt every ship watching her. She was the center of a storm she never wanted. She leaned toward the controls and whispered, Let me end this. The captain spoke quickly. Negative, Arya. Stay inside the pod. But Arya shook her head. If I don't stop them now, they'll never stop coming. She placed her glowing hands on the pod's console. The panel lit up brighter than ever. The energy inside her surged, mixing with the pod systems. Her heartbeat and the engine's hum merged into one rhythm. The ship's lights reacted like they were alive. She opened a private channel to the human captain. Protect Earth. Don't fire unless you have to. Arya, what are you doing? Something only I can do. She ended the channel. With a steady breath, Arya turned the pod around. Human ships shouted warnings, but she ignored them. She faced the Varric's fleet alone. The commander laughed through the speakers. You think you can fight us, girl? Arya did not answer. She closed her eyes, letting the strange silver energy flow from her heart into her arms and into the pod. The ship glowed brighter, brighter, until the metal looked almost white-hot. A ripple of light spread out from the pod like a wave. Every Varric scanner began to distort. The commander shouted orders. Shields up! Fire now! But the ships could not lock on to her. Arya opened her eyes. They glowed with a silver fire. She whispered, I didn't choose this power, but I will use it to protect my people. The wave of energy expanded. The first line of Varric's ships shook violently. Their engines flickered. Their weapons shut down. Lights across their hulls faded. Arya could feel the machine inside her responding. She felt like she was standing half inside her body, half inside the pod, guiding energy through the air like threads. Another wave pulsed from her ship. The second row of Varric's vessels powered down, drifting helplessly. The commander shouted, Impossible! Stop her! Stop that human! Arya sent one final surge of energy. It expanded silently, spreading through the entire fleet like a gentle shock. One by one, every Varric ship went dark. Then silence. Thousands of soldiers, hundreds of warships, all disabled, not destroyed, just powerless. The human fleet watched in stunned silence. No one spoke. Arya slumped forward in her seat, exhausted. The glow faded from her hands. Her breathing slowed. The pod's lights dimmed as it returned to normal. A soft human voice came through the channel again. Arya, what did you do? Arya looked weakly at the stars. I didn't destroy them. I just shut them down. They can't hurt us. Not now. You saved us, the captain said. You saved Earth. Arya smiled, tired but peaceful. I only wanted to go home. The captain's voice turned gentle. We're bringing you home now. Human ships surrounded her pod and guided it safely toward the nearest cruiser. As they approached the hangar, Arya felt her strength fading. The energy inside her was still there, but quiet, resting. When the pod landed, human soldiers rushed in. Medical officers opened the hatch and reached for her. Arya blinked slowly, still smiling. I'm okay. One officer whispered, You came back from death and saved all of us. Arya looked up at the bright lights of the hangar. Maybe that's what I was meant to do. For the first time since the experiment, she felt safe. She had escaped the Dominion. She had protected her world. And though she had become something more than human, she was still Arya. Still someone who fought to live. Still someone who chose hope over fear. As the ship carried her toward Earth, Arya closed her eyes and finally rested, knowing the galaxy would never forget the girl who died, and came back different.